What's up, guys? Tim from Deep Stage Tuning. Now, a lot of people ask questions of the do-it-yourself mechanics, the shade trees, anybody that wants to do their own modifications at home. I have absolutely no problem with assisting them in any way that we possibly can. Now, one way we're going to help out today is we're going to go over 3 different methods on installing trunnions on your rockers. As we know, the factory rockers definitely have some problems with durability. They have uncaged bearings that if you have a rocker come apart, it just rains needle bearings all the way through your motor. So we're going to go over 3 methods. One method if you have an arbor press, another method if you have a bench vise, and then the third one, which really isn't recommended, but it'll happen in a pinch for the truly shade trees that are living on the wild side. So what we'll do right now is we'll go over it as we show. Now, the first step is you've just got to put it in the arbor press. On the rocker, there is one big flat side that will stabilize the rocker as you're trying to press it out. Put a socket on the top of it, press it down in the arbor press, and as you see, as you apply pressure, the trunnion and the bearings will just fall right through. You have to use the appropriately sized socket or else it will never go all the way through. Now you'll see that there was the depression on the arbor press, so the actual socket will go through. And there is the housing without any bearing, trunnion, or anything else in it. Now on this one, you got to put the chamfer in on the big side. And you can see here you've got a small chamfer and a large chamfer. The large chamfer goes into the housing of the rocker. It does that because it'll slide in a lot easier. Now we set it on here to make sure you've got the flat spot. Set it on top, and then you will adjust the arbor down onto it. You can see it's got the pedestal, so it gives it somewhere to push down on safely. So you'll push it down, do it slowly so you don't damage anything. You'll know when it's flush. And you can see here that it is absolutely flush. No problems there whatsoever. Now you grab the trunnion, it'll slide straight in and actually hold itself straight. Then you can slide the other one right on top of that. There's your washer for assembly. Now the other trunnion bushing will slide right over the top. Again, big chamfer goes on top of the trunnion. That way it slides on a little easier. Now you put the washer on the top so that trunnion has somewhere to slide as you're pushing it on. Make sure it's straight, that way it slides on with ease. Don't worry if it doesn't slide all the way, you can always readjust. Just don't force it to cause any damage. You can see here it didn't go all the way on, so I'm making some adjustments. Try it again, just a little bit of pressure until you get it right, because again, these are brass bushings and you don't want to do any damage. And you can see it slid all the way in, it's completely flush, and now the trunnion is assembled. The only thing left is the safety clips. Now with the safety clips, you got to have yourself a nice sturdy set of snap ring pliers. You can see with the snap ring, it's got some smaller holes. Now I put the safety ring against it, the snap ring, and I hold it with my thumb. It keeps it from springing away. Insert the pliers, sometimes a little tight. Snap it over and slide it over. Now you can push on the top of it and you see it clicks back into place. And repeat the process on the other side. Again, I always brace it with my thumb so I don't lose it and snap it halfway across the shop, never to be seen again. Put the pliers in, open it up, slides right over the trunnion. Now, I always push on the top just to make sure they will click into place. Make sure it's seated all the way around. Now we've shown you one way to do it, and that's with an arbor press. Now, not everybody has the luxury of having an arbor press in their shop. So I'm also going to demonstrate how we're going to do it with a bench vise. Now the biggest thing is these flat spots are your pedestals for a socket. You line those up where it sets on it just fine. And then we use a 13mm socket because it's easier. You can use another size, nothing over probably 14mm. 13's about it. But as you see, as you press it in and you focus up here, you can see that this is still spinning. But as we press it, you can see it start to move. Now it'll go until it presses it all the way into the bigger socket. You see all your needle bearings. These are the things that you don't want going down through your motor when it breaks. That's all the pieces that you need to know. Now, one of the most important things about putting the trunnions together after it's all done is to make sure that your trunnion, your rocker arm, is actually clean. It can pick up debris. Anything in the pushrod pocket also needs to be cleaned out. But we're going to go over assembling it with your bench vise. Now, it's always a good idea to start off by just pressing one in first so there's no obstructions. You can see there's a big chamfer and a little chamfer. Big chamfer always goes inside. Press it into place. Make sure that when you get it snug in there to where it holds itself, make sure everything is straight, because if it's not, it will damage that bushing. Feel until you have a little resistance, then you stop, come back, and you can see everything is nice and flush. Then you go ahead, put in your trunnion, set a washer on the back of it so it has a pocket to slide into. Big chamfer, little chamfer. Big chamfer in, and you can see it's sitting on that trunnion, so you can get it started without having to wrestle with too many parts at one time. Again, make sure it's straight, slide it in until you feel resistance, back it up just enough to slide this washer in. Slide that washer in so the trunnion has somewhere to go on the other side. Make sure it's straight. Press it on the rest of the way. Now you'll know when it's flush because it will be flush here as well. Now, a big thing that people run into is they'll sometimes overpress them. You want to make sure that it spins freely. If it doesn't, you can actually put it on a washer or just hit it on this side with a hammer. Just tap it and it will back off those just a little bit. Because it has to spin freely. If it doesn't, it will bind up on the motor. Now, we've shown you how to use the arbor press. We've shown you how to use a bench vise. You can also use a C-clamp to do it if necessary. It's a little bit more difficult, but if none of those are available, there is one final way. This is a way we call the barbarian method. Now, it takes a big old hammer. You got to put it on the back side of your pedestal like you do anything else. Rest it on the back here. Put your socket over the top of it. You can use a 1/2 inch or 9/16. Put it on there and just tap it. You can feel it starting to come out and see it as well. And just keep tapping it till it does finally drop out of it. You can see there's your bearings. Everything comes out of it clean. You just got to be really careful with it so you don't damage them. Now, we're not going to assemble using the caveman method for the simple fact that it can absolutely damage the bushings going in. Obviously, when you're using a hammer on something, it's sometimes hard to hold it straight, and we're not going to damage our customer's product. So we're going to use the arbor to put it back on because we have it. But other than that, it is a last-ditch effort to use the barbarian method when it comes to assembling or disassembling your rockers. You hit it wrong, you slip, you can damage the rockers, you can damage the trunnions going into it. So again, very last-ditch effort.